Good morning, welcome back to the Finca. It is a beautiful day. It's going to be scorching today, 40 degrees Celsius, which is 104
That's actually
Fahrenheit.
this weekend. We're getting off a little bit lighter today, but not much.
Oh. So we've been up early picking capers, which until yesterday we didn't even know we had. If you remember from our video, Andy doing the strimming, when it came to this bush here, he decided to leave it because it was full of bees. As a result of that, we had a comment from one of our subscribers who said, "That's a caper bush. We've got loads of them where we are down in Andalusia."
And you know what, Mike? You're absolutely right. Thank you so much. So we've been up early
Andy's
this morning.
been researching.
Yeah, reading and looking how to prepare them and how to pick them and which bits to pick. And yeah, so we'll show you the actual things themselves. I'll bring the camera in. Okay, so this is the caper bush, and those are the caper flowers. And so what happens, they start off with a little bud like these you can see here, get smaller and smaller. Apparently these are what you want to pick as capers there. Apparently in France the smaller ones under 7mm more expensive. Yeah, we'll put them in our jar that we've got. So the start off as a little bud, then they flower, and the bees absolutely love them. That's why I didn't chop it back. And then after they've flowered, they end up with this olive-like thing here as well, which you can also prepare and eat. A bit like olives. I think people pickle them or what have you. So yeah, that's the one. So we've actually picked a load of these. We've missed some actually, small ones. We're doing an absolute load of research, reading this morning, and the best way is they're everywhere. There's millions of them, and we're gonna pickle them. We're gonna cure them in salt because apparently that gives the best taste.
So this is the jar that we picked this morning. As Andy said, we've been researching. You can either salt them, or put them in brine, or pickle them, put them in vinegar. We're going to try the salt method. The reason being, we did our own olives last year and the year before, and the first year we did them in brine with garlic and herbs, and they were absolutely beautiful when they were about 3 months old, crunchy and delicious, but they didn't keep. They very quickly went very soggy and not nice, so we ended up throwing them away, which is a real shame. So the second year we did the salt method, which this is last year's crop of olives. Just layers of salt, layers of olives, and what it does, the salt extracts the moisture, so every day or so you have to tip out the juice, and eventually they become, I don't know whether you can see that, like Greek olives. Can you see that? Sort of, you know, the crinkly texture, and then you just rinse off the salt, dry them off, and put some olive oil in a jar. And these have kept, so these are not last year before's that we've been eating. The bigger jar is the jar that we prepared from last season's olives. So we decided with our capers we're going to do the same method. It's funny because we were only talking the other night. We love our fish, we love tartar sauce, and I always make my own. And I was getting to the end of my little jar of capers, which is over €1 for a tiny jar. And having picked them this morning, we can see why they are so expensive, because it's very labour intensive. But we were talking about, you know, wonder if we can grow our own capers. Where do we get a caper plant from? And then, lo and behold, thanks to Mike again, we've got one. So that's absolutely brilliant. And these are the olivey ones Andy did show you outside. We're not going to bother with those this year. We might try next year, but for now I think we've got enough capers. So we're going to crack on and start preparing them. First thing we need to do is rinse them off. We've emptied them out of the jar into the sieve. Let's give them a good rinse. There were lots of little insects fornicating on the plant this morning, so we'll get rid of all that. Should do, I think. Next step, we need to dry them off, just simply to give the salt a head start, really, get as much moisture out of them as we can just before we put them in the jar. So I'm just going to put them on this tray, some paper towel. Spread them out a bit. Piece of paper on the top, I think. What we need to do is put them back into the jar, sort of a layer of capers with a layer of salt, layer of capers, layer of salt, until the jar is full. So let's do that. Have my salt here. Hopefully there's enough, I think so. So put a layer of salt first. Oops. Without spilling it. And full of capers. Should do. And the same again. Not easy because they go everywhere. So we'll carry on with that and show you when it's finished. So there we go, a jar full. We couldn't have picked any better because that's absolutely to the brim, obviously by the time the salt is in there. And we leave it now, we just give it a bit of a shake and leave that for 2 to 3 months, or until such time as the salt stops extracting the liquid. Don't know whether we'll have enough to last us a year, but it's quite a lot of capers then. You don't need that many, do you, to make your tartar sauce or put in your salads. Of course, we'll keep you posted.
There we go, we've got the two ones with no friends, Jessie and Cassie. They were sitting together. He gets a bit camera shy, and so yeah, Jessie's got a little friend now. They sit together quite often, thinking to each other. So in a further attempt to organise ourselves, Sharon's going to move, this is currently our wardrobe. It's in the hallway by the main door to the apartment. We're going to move it into the bedroom, into that corner there where we're actually going to build a permanent one. We're going to stick this one in and get it set up to see how the size fits and what we can actually build in there permanently. We may even incorporate that and build round it. The ceiling's still looking good, the light's still looking good. Fantastic. The view's still just as good as well. And in the anticipation that one day my fencing stuff's going to be ready and I can pick it up, I'm going to start digging the holes for the posts, or make a start on them. It is forecast to be absolutely scorching this weekend, so I'm just going to potter on with them a bit at a time. I've got my digging bar and I've got my spade, so let's see what we can do. Well, if they're all like this, it's going to be an absolute doddle. I think because the land's tiered and this is the edge of a tier, there seems to be some soil here, because if you go further down it's just solid rock. Fabulous. Absolutely bone dry, of course. Oh, absolute joy this stuff is. Fantastic. I need to go down 30 centimetres with them. I'll go and get my tape measure because I forgot it. Well, that's it. 30 centimetres, 1 foot. First one's done. That's easy enough, isn't it? Right, on with the next. So the next one I'm going to put out, can you see me there? 3 metres from the wall, about 10 foot here, and then there's going to be a gate here where I can get in, and then it's going to go that way behind me, behind the kennel, and back to the wall that way. So the wall will act as the fourth side. So hopefully this will be as soft as that over there. Tape measure marks the spot. Right, that'll change quickly. I'm actually coming out 3.5 metres, which is what, 12 foot is that? Because to leave enough room for the dogs to be able to work around the inside of the kennel. So let's give it a whirl. Not quite as soft here. Right, this is hole number 3. It's proving to be a bit of a pain. There's a massive rock in here, so I might have to just move it a fraction one way or the other, because I can't get this out for trying. It's huge. But you know, I'm going to pause on it for now because it's absolutely boiling, and pick it up again when it gets a bit cooler. Okay, so we put the shelves in place. This is, as you probably guessed, temporary, but it just gives us an idea of how to use the space. Ultimately, this is going to be for guests. We may even let it as an Airbnb, I don't know. We might be a bit nice for that, but certainly for guests, friends and family and things. But we wanted the option to be able to move this bed this way. The bed's two singles, basically making a super king size, but we can split it in half. So this works perfectly because we've got enough space there to slide the bed up to there, and enough space with it in this configuration to walk around it easily. I'm going to actually build a wardrobe in here, but yeah, it kind of works though, doesn't it? Maybe make it a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, and a little bit wider, but it gives us an idea what we can do with it. And with the shelves and everything, we can temporarily put all our stuff on it, save having it in the hall, so we can use that on the door again. But yeah, it's looking, you get the idea about what I want to do in the future regarding built-in furniture. So that works kind of quite nicely. Yeah, the space is great. Not to be defeated, a bit of a refreshment, a cool off, and we've got the third hole finished. I don't know if you can see this massive rock here. It just keeps on going and going. That's how we wanted Eddie the digger. But not to worry, we've got our foot, our 30 centimetres. So, and it'll be a nice big pad as well. So, happy days on that. Time for a drink now.
And these are the shelves now, looking a little bit more organised. At least we can see what we've got. Obviously, for this time of the year, we just need shorts, t-shirts, underwear, which can all be stored on shelves, but we do need to think longer term about some hanging space. But for now, we've got a nice clear area now here in the hallway, which was full of stuff before. So yeah, it's been a good day. Well, whilst Andy's been out in the hot sun digging his holes, bless him, I thought I'd have a go at the mint sauce that we made, not last Sunday, Sunday before, because it was very, very runny, and we did think maybe when it cooled down it would set a little bit because of the amount of sugar that went into it, but it didn't, and it just separated. And we got up this morning and Andy said, "What's that?" And I said, "It's our mint sauce." And it was literally this much mint at the bottom and then just liquid. It had all separated. So I had a bright idea that I'd put it into a saucepan and boil it, which is what I did. And not for very long, I don't know, 5 minutes maybe, well, bring it to boil, simmer. And we've managed to reduce it down and it's much better consistency now. So hopefully it'll taste, it tasted okay, it was just very, very liquidy. So yeah, so that's the mint sauce. And that about brings us to the end of today's video. Nothing else to report, so we'll leave you there. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you again to Mike for the tip on the capers. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. It's free and it helps us out. So thanks again, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.